I'd like to call this regular scheduled Oscoda Township Board meeting to order for March 11th. If we could begin by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cummings?
Here.
Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Taser?
Present.
Mr. Sutton here. Mr. Wusterbarth?
Present.
Mr. Palmer?
Here. Next is the agenda. Do we have a packet here. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No, I do not.
If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll move.
Support.
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the agenda. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Here. Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
That one too.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton? Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Next is our first public comment. For this public comment, we ask that you fill out a card. Please state your name when you come to the podium so we can have a record of that. Do we have any cards?
Yes, I have one. It's Miss Mary Ed Tootin.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Mary Ed Tootin. I live in Oscoda. Tonight I want to talk about the Facade Improvement Grant Program. I sat on the EIC committee last year when we tried to implement this program, and it was a mess, and it's still a mess. And I'm going to ask you tonight, the first time since last year that the EIC looked at this program was Thursday. And so they haven't had the opportunity to get any updates or anything like that to you all. I'm going to ask you to put this thing forward until the EIC has the opportunity to meet again and discuss this thing. Some of the problems that are extant in the facade grant program as it stands is that in two different places it says that it's reviewed and awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Yet, there's a scoring criteria. The scoring criteria is incredibly unclear. To wit, one item is whether the building is abandoned would be a scoring criteria. Does that mean that you give it more points if it's abandoned, so we're spending money on abandoned buildings? Or does that mean that if the building is abandoned, we're going to give it less points because we're favoring the existing functioning businesses? It's a question, and it's not answered in this grant program. Another thing that talks about, or that is in the grant program, is this first come, first serve thing. Every business in this town has an email address and has the ability to send documents via email. Any of them that don't can come and talk to me and I'll make sure to get them set up. But giving them many opportunities or different paths of submitting a grant proposal rather than by email where you have a timestamp on it, I think opens the door to the possibility of impropriety, and I don't like it. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it should have one avenue, and that's the avenue, and then you can see the timestamp. Because last year what we were told is, this is the order in which the applications were received, with no differentiation between who came in when, at what time, by what method. It just made it more difficult, frankly. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. I'm just asking you to push that down the pike a minute. Thanks.
Do we have any others?
No, we do not.
Okay. Next up is the consent agenda. We'll have the meeting minutes from February, the special meeting minutes from February 22nd, and the regular meeting minutes of February 26th. Are there any questions or concerns about those?
Was a correction to the ones for February 22nd. I talked with you and Jamie earlier, and Jamie found the motion for agenda additions. It was Jeremy motion, Tim supported.
Okay,
So that'd be a correction to the February 22nd special minutes.
okay. That was the only one?
Yes.
Anything else? Anybody else? Hearing none. Next is the finance, payment of bills for the prepaids, February 29th, $27,410.82. Prepaids for March 1st, $4,000. Prepaids for March 5th, $107,862.56. Check run for March 12th, $396,340.72. And then also the CWSRF reports and the DWRFD report and the SRF bond report. Are there any questions or concerns, comments about any of these items? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Support, Bob.
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Taser, to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Consent agenda is approved. Next is the superintendent's report.
Okay, your packet contains a quote from Lincoln Outdoor Center for a Ferris mower with a 60-inch deck. Also being requested is a bagging system for quick leaf and clipping removal. Because Lincoln Outdoor Center is the only local Ferris dealer and to keep uniformity, the request is to purchase the Ferris mower and bagging unit in the amount of $22,380. This mower and bagging unit was budgeted in the capital improvement plan for 2024 in the amount of $22,500. This is the same mower we have throughout, even at Old Orchard. So usually our older mowers are passed to Old Orchard Park, and the newer ones are used here in town. So we have to buy one set of parts, one set of blades.
That would make sense to me. Anybody have any questions or concerns on this? I would point out one item. If you're double checking our budget book, some of the numbers in there won't correlate to what we put here. The Michigan Department of Treasury has set up a new chart of accounts, which BS&A has changed over a bunch of our line items, and it's causing our superintendent and clerk and treasurer to pull out some of their hair because there's money in funds that we didn't have money before that's shown up, and then some funds that don't have money in them that should have. So we're trying to track down, and the reason I bring this up is that in this first item, the fund for it to be paid from is the correct number. If you go to our budget book and look at this line item, it would be a different number, and that shows the amount of money that's in there for this purchase. So just, I don't know how many people go and look at our budget book on a regular basis. I try and check it when we have these things to make sure the correct fund numbers are in there. And it would be a different number than what's in our book, but the number that's here is the new chart of accounts number. So just so everybody's aware of that. Is that?
Yes, I plan on doing new budget books after we get all the line items straightened around and things where they need to be.
There's going to be a fair amount of work to get things lined up where they should be, so we know where money is and where it should be and those kinds of things. So anyway, Is there a motion on the mower?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the Ferris mower and bagging unit from Lincoln Outdoor Center in the amount of $22,380 to be paid from Fund 101-751-980.000.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Worcester, support by Mr. Sutton to purchase the Ferris mower as requested. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next item is the dust control.
All right, your packet contains the bid tabulation and the response received from the annual dust control RFP previously approved by the Township Board. Historically, the Township's 13 to 14 miles worth of dust control takes approximately 3 loads of 9,000 gallons per load, or a minimum of 27,000 gallons total per application of Liquidow. The Township has seen better results with the Liquidow than the 26% brine solution, but the more effective Liquidow is also more expensive to apply. If the historical trend continues for 2024, a minimum load of 27,000 gallons would translate into at least $18,576 per application of Liquidow. That's the entire year. Last year, a total of $26,247.86 was paid to liquid calcium chloride sales coded to the Road Improvement Fund 203 to be paid out of line 203-000-969.000 Street and Road Maintenance. All applications of dust control are supervised by the DPW personnel, and this requires Township Board approval. I will add that we collected from private roads last year $9,029 in total. So those are roads that we are not required to do. They're people's private roads that they decide to have applications done. And a third of the cost is invoiced to the county after we're done. So they pay back a third of what we spend.
Okay. Any questions on this? This is something we do every year. Generally, we put on an RFP, and we, for years, as long as I've been on the board, that I can remember, we've only had this one company that has responded. But they do a good job for us. So, any questions, comments?
Mr. Palmer, if you notice that your cost per half load is also included.
Yes, yes. So I would make a motion to approve the contract with liquid calcium chloride for application of Liquidow at the rate of 0.688 cents per gallon for full loads of 9,000 gallons and 0.736 cents per gallon for half loads to be paid from Fund 203-000-969.000.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the contract with liquid calcium chloride. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next item is the facade grant discussion.
All right, your packet contains the proposed 2024 facade grant program for Oscoda Township downtown businesses. This year, the committee has requested to extend the grant program to the Corridor Business District along with the State Street Business Neighborhood. Funding for this program was included and approved in the 2024 budget, which will be charged to Fund 101-250-801.000. Funding of this project requires board approval.
Now, it was suggested that we postpone this. Is there some revisions that need to be made in this proposal?
The committee went over this. They asked the same questions. Ms. Tootin was there to make public comment and left, and didn't sit with us through this discussion that we had. Yes, it says first come, first serve, but you have to have scoring criteria on each of those applications. We do have date and time stamps that can be put on them when they're received. It's not, yes, you get one application and then another, but your first application that you get could have all the wrong items. And that's what we are there for, is to go through these, each and every one. That's why the first stop is me. I go through, and if it meets scoring criteria, it goes on to the Economic Improvement Committee. And the committee is who will review and request to the board approval. So there's a two-step process here, and I think the committee has some good members with good heads on their shoulders, and I think they can make an appropriate decision. And it's a reimbursement style grant, so they have to show their invoices paid and prove, I have to go take pictures and prove that all these upgrades have been done. So I think it's a really good program. Dave is here, the chair for the EIC committee, if you have any questions of him, or if you have questions for me.
At what point is it time-stamped? You said you go through it first, and then if you go through it and you find
I would
that it's-
stamp it when it
And then you would
arrives.
stamp it at that point?
Yes, if someone just drops it off. If it comes through email, which everyone except for one last year came through email, and I believe that was Mr. Moss's, so.
And we basically treat it just like the bids when they come in for bid
Correct.
time. We have a stamper that you put the date and time on, and you stamp it, and it's in there.
Now, the one thing that I know when I'm in reading through this, I know in the past, last year, we did not allow for new roofing.
Correct.
It lists in there what is allowable. We don't have anything that says what isn't allowable. Should we include that?
Well,
So that-
possibly a definition for facade, but for the most part, allowable uses is what facade is. So, but we could include a definition of facade, which includes, like, some people last year had 2 facades because they have a building with 2 faces that you can see from the road. So that was a question that was answered last year, because I wouldn't have thought you could have 2 facades, but you actually can if you can see both sides from the road. So,
Well, I just thought that since we specifically said last year you can't use the money for roofing, that should probably be stated in there as one of the items that you can't. And from what I read, there's nothing that defines what can't be approved. It only has things that can be approved. So if I know in last year roofing was specifically noted that we can't pay for that. I didn't know of anything else that was included last year that wouldn't be allowed. I think if, facade should be pretty well defined. It's, the facade of your building.
yeah.
Um,
I can add that, of what's not covered. I can add a definition of what
Okay.
isn't covered.
I think it would be helpful to know what can't be. We have a list of the things that can be.
And I had a discussion with Lindsay Miller with the MEDC on Friday, and I explained to her that this was coming to the board, and she did say that if we had businesses that had larger costs up and above our 10,000, that they would see what they could do to help out if they had a larger project that we couldn't cover with the 10,000.
Okay? Any board member comments, questions?
Where are we getting the $50,000 for to allocate for this?
It's in Fund 11250.
We approved it in the budget.
It's in the budget.
I know, well, I understand that we approved it, but where did that $50 come from the previous year, I guess?
Oh, it used to be in 236. It was in property and maintenance last year.
So previous to last year, when we did the facade grants, we worked with an entity to have grant money to produce the funds for the facade grant. It didn't come from the general ledger before, or from
Yeah, it
the
did.
common account.
Yeah, that came right from the township's fund.
Because I thought when Ann was that person, that it was a grant that they used to get, and they got that for the DDA.
Previously, that was through the DDA, yes, but the
Okay.
township board last year decided to, through RRC, start funding small projects.
Okay.
So the DDA had a TIF that they could draw from, but the Economic Improvement Committee does not.
Right. Correct.
And we want to make sure that it's in the
Taking it out of the
fund that
general
we
fund
think it's
instead.
in.
Yes, it is. I checked. Yes.
Yeah, okay. This chart of accounts is becoming a huge problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. So I did have a concern in the section called eligibility on page 54. There's a specific wording that I think is kind of concerns me. It's like I said, third paragraph. It reads, all work must take place after the EIC board approved the award. First of all, EIC stands for Economic Improvement Committee, so it's not a board, so the word board is wrong. Secondly, it isn't the EIC who is the final say on any of these. It is actually this board. So these applications have to come to us for the approval, and then they can start the award, or start the work. I think this particular document is flawed in the same way that it was last year, when we had the same problem and had to have a special meeting to resolve it. The scoring criteria is, if not identical, it's very close to the same. The point that Ms. Tootin raised is a concern of mine as well. It isn't actually a scoring criteria because it doesn't actually define a scoring criteria. There's no criteria. They're just some bullet points. And then I guess the process that is described in here also doesn't say that the applications will first be reviewed by you or that they should come to you at all as a superintendent. So if there's going to be some procedure on that, for the sake of fairness to those who are trying to be first come, first served, I'd rather people know exactly where they should be going so that they don't waste time. It says contact superintendent, but I think it should be spelled out. There's another point, and that is what was also missing from last year's facade grant, and one of the reasons why I asked to have that version of it terminated after this board intervened in order to come up with the awards, and that was that what happens if someone is awarded money during the year they decline to continue, and then go back into the till. Is that money going to be awarded to another grant applicant, or is it going to just roll over until next year? Those are my issues.
Well, as far as turning in the proposal at the very end, it tells people the address and where to send the proposals. As far as people not completing the projects, it's very hard to say what would be left over because this last year, 2023, we had some applications not turned in till the very end of the year.
Right.
So I guess that would be something that would have to come back to the township board.
Right.
Say we have X amount of dollars left over, we had extra applications, can we go back out and ask for proposals?
Right, or maybe just, if we want to, we could say that it's just a one-round review.
Correct.
That's another way to just plug the loophole, so people don't expect something to happen that isn't
Right.
going to happen.
Like when you guys approved them in April, it was closed out at that time, at
Well, we
that special
requested
meeting.
that because there was no definition, just like there isn't here now. That was specific to that. Yep. I'm very much in favor of a facade grant. I think it's a great idea. I just have trouble with the way this document keeps getting written when we paid, well, the EIC paid for a facade grant writer to produce a professional document, but it was determined without any feedback to the facade grant writer that it was too big or too complex or whatever it was, and it got taken over and turned into what we're looking at now, or similar to what it is last year. I think we could do a little better job of tightening it up.
Are there grants out there with the MEDC or other entities that we could work with to cut the cost for the township moving forward?
I could check into that. We've been waiting on another MEDC grant that has been pushed back, that came out that the township board approved. I haven't had any word since, just that it was, the date for that's been pushed back, so nothing at this time.
Is that something that the EIC committee could work on moving forward, just so you don't have so much to do with that?
They have been very helpful,
Yeah.
actually, yes.
So what is the board's thought on this? Does some of this need to be rewritten, redone?
I think can we come back with another version?
That's up to you guys.
Did you write it, or was it the EIC?
No, this is the same one that we used last year.
Thought so.
The EIC reviewed it and had some things removed
Yeah,
and some wording changed.
yeah, shocking.
Sounds like a few things need to be tweaked. Like you said about the roofing and different things. And some of Tim's points.
It says on here that it's supposed to start March 1st, 2024, so, I mean, it's supposed to already be going on right now.
Well, I just left that date. But it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
I think the date of commencement should start with the date of approval or shortly thereafter. If it's going to be first come, first serve, I think people should have a bit of time before the first day that these applications should be dropped off, so that everyone isn't working on this,
I have people already that have been asking for the last month,
Yeah, I
so.
bet. Yeah, I bet.
And the date can easily be corrected. I can correct that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is there any, Mr. Cummings brought up the point about the scoring for the grant. I know that was a bit of an issue last year for this. Is there something that's been rewritten for that, or is there some guidelines of how they would do that scoring?
No. No, they all figured that they could go through the grants and just work with what they had.
I guess, Mr. Iyer, as this is your committee, is there anything you'd like to add?
Last year we had two different applications. This is the one we finally decided with. That's what a lot of the confusion was. When it comes to scoring and first come, first serve, we had many that were first come, but their scoring didn't meet it because the application wasn't completely full. So it is two different things that we are looking at. We may have received it first, but the scoring might not get you eligibility. So that's why we kept that in there. We went all over this in the meeting on Thursday. I think it's good for the township. The MEDC does have something out. They postponed it though, unfortunately, so we're waiting on them to come back and give us the criteria for their grant. We can pursue something with Lindsay Miller and have a conversation about how they can work better with our community. But I think the facade grant, with the idea of, I guess, putting in definitions so that people know exactly what they can and can't do, it's unfortunate we have to do that, but I guess we have to. So a facade, for example, for Life's a Stitch, was a roof, but it was the front of the roof. It was not the top, which is actually the roof, it's the facade. So I think that's a little bit of the problem that we had last year. Other questions, gentlemen, ladies?
Are you amenable to updating the language?
Yes. more than willing to update and come back with another.
When's your next meeting?
We can have a special meeting. Our next one is the first Thursday of next month, which puts us too far behind the 8 ball.
So you want to do it, if we do push this, if we do postpone this, it would be to our next regular meeting, and you guys
Correct.
have a special meeting to go through and do some magic to make it a little bit more sharp.
Absolutely.
I move that we postpone the decision on the facade grant until the documentation can be reviewed by the EIC and sent back to the board at our next regular communication in 2 weeks.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's a motion to postpone the facade grant proposal. Motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Postpone to the next meeting, correct?
Postpone
Yes.
to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, to the next
Hold
regularly
on.
scheduled board meeting.
Hey, so you want them to have a special meeting then?
That's up to them. I think.
Well, they would have to because they don't meet till April, and our next meeting is in March.
Right, but I don't think we can dictate that, can we? That's up to them.
Well, you
They're gonna bring us a
dictated it,
document
you
at our
wanted
next
it back by
regular
the
board
next meeting, so
You
that's.
want it by the
That's
next,
special
by the
meeting.
first
That's
meeting in
right.
April, so that it's after their meeting?
2
or-
weeks.
2 weeks.
Motions for 2 weeks. They've got 2 weeks until our next board meeting to get us an updated document, and then we can review it at that time. If it hasn't been updated, or if we're not happy with it, we can review it. We can make that decision when the time
Postpone
comes.
it again, or whatever. I got it.
Mr. Eiler said that they would be willing to do a special meeting, so
Right, but like I said, I don't think we can dictate
No,
what they
no,
have.
no, I
But
agree.
if they want to work on it, then
Yep.
I'm sure that they can schedule things accordingly and work within the timeframe to get these things addressed and either changed or reasoning why not, and bring it back to us for approval.
That's a long motion.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support Mr. Cummings, to postpone until the next meeting decision on the facade grant. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wustabart?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings? Yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next are the resolutions.
Okay, so your first resolution is regarding Officer Alexander's request at the last meeting to go out for the Michigan Participation Plan grant. He needs this resolution approved and set up tomorrow to be sent in along with the grant application.
Any questions?
We talked about this.
Comment?
I would make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-06 with one stipulation that the address be corrected and where the Oscoda Township board meeting was held.
Support, Wustabart.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Wustabart, to approve Resolution 2024-06. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wustabart?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is 2024-09.
So this resolution is authorizing the execution of our recently received $150,000 passport grant through the MDNRTF program.
And this is simply to acknowledge
Yes,
the
and execute the document which immediately follows this resolution.
yes.
Didn't say it was gone.
Any questions?
Just basically gives the $150,000 with the match amount of $50,000 for the grant.
So it's for a total of $200,000.
Correct.
Any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2024-09.
Support, Sutton?
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton, to approve Resolution 2024-09. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurschtebarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the request from the DPW for surplus vehicles.
Question, Mr. Palmer, I think we only approved the resolution, don't we need to approve Ms. Klein to execute the document?
No, I already have that
You already have-
in a resolution. That's just put in there for your information.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, the agreement's good? Okay. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, that's this.
Yeah.
No, it's these things.
Oh, yeah.
So next up is the surplus vehicle. We have some really old vehicles in our DPW apparently that they no longer need or use.
Correct. And what we'll do is, for our process to be able to sell our old inventory, the board needs to approve these to be put on bid corp, as we did with the last batch of surplus vehicles. You put them up on bid corp and wait and see what we get.
I think we've had some fairly good success with that, haven't we, through bid corp?
Yes, I believe our oldest vehicle, that old Dodge pickup, was, I think, from the 70s. That had pretty low mileage. That went real well, which I didn't think it would. It was used as a parked truck forever, and that went for a lot of money, so.
Maybe the 1986 diesel Chevy Blazer with only 67,000 miles on it will too.
I know. Vintage.
It's a classic.
So is there a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the sale of vehicles as presented through bid corp.
Support. Spencer.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Spencer, to approve the truck sales, used truck sales through bid corp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurschtebarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the Chamber of Commerce request.
So, at, not last board meeting before, I believe that was beginning of February, I brought you written requests for uses from the chamber. I since talked to the chamber director and asked for a more detailed request stating specifically what they would need from the township. So you have all these events listed. I don't know if you want to just go through each one individually or approve them as a whole. These are basic requests they ask for every year: garbage, cans, and space. The beach, I can approve, but they're asking for garbage pickup and things like that. So that needs to be approved by the board.
Well, in reading through this, it seems to me this is the type of request that we would get every year from the chamber for detailed of what they will do and what they need from us and all those kinds. That was what was missing, I believe, in the first request. I didn't see anything in here that I read that was anything different than what we've done in the past for these things.
No.
So, unless somebody noticed something that I didn't.
Our only concern, I guess, is did you go through, are the dates
Yes.
all
the dates,
available?
I
No conflict?
Next item on the agenda, I spoke with Mr. Eiler regarding Rockfest, and he has opted to change his dates. So that's why Rockfest land use request is on the agenda again, so he can go back to his original dates.
And the only thing I saw was that on the 9th, I believe it is, both dates line up for the Rockfest and the beginning of the Paul Bunyan.
Yep.
So one's cleaning up and the other's coming in to start, so.
That works well with the fencing, actually.
Yeah,
Because-
then they just leave the fencing.
Leave it up.
Correct.
I get it.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do they provide the liability insurance on our reference from our events policy with all of these?
Yes.
Because I see none of that's listed here, so I just want to make sure that that's, all of the event policy documents will be presented.
They have to provide that before the events. Yes.
Any other questions? Concerns, comments? Is there a motion?
Would make a motion to approve the Chamber of Commerce use request as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire, for the Chamber of Commerce events request. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurschbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the Rockfest request.
So previously, Mr. Eiler had requested dates that conflicted with the Paul Bunyan Festival. He has since redone his request for September 5th through September 9th for Tawfield.
Questions? Comments? Concerns? Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the Veterans Memorial Park Foundation request to use the Furtaw Field on the dates listed from the 7th to the 9th. And,
Fifth.
oh, sorry, 5th,
Yeah.
5th through the 9th.
Support, Tasher.
The only comment I would have is in the document, it does talk about fencing on the Veterans Memorial Park. So I think this is probably used from last year. Probably need to reword some of that, where it's indicating the Veterans Park for some of the things as opposed to Furtaw Field.
Oh, yeah.
I think we get the idea what you want, but
Right.
in the document, it needs to be cleared up, specific to what they're...
I would amend my motion to include the cleanup of the language so that the proper location is listed on Furtaw Field.
Throughout the document.
So we have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Taser, to allow grant the Rockfest request for Furtaw Field. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wurschbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Could I just please point out to everyone that under the informational section of your agenda, I would like you to notice that the fireworks contract is located on page 85 with the updated rain date, and on page 86, Mr. Woosterbarth's request to provide welding blankets to protect the pier from the fallout is also listed in the contract.
Thank for you and Tara for following up on that.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none.
Right on.
Next is the second public comment. Yes.
My name is Mary Ed Tootin. I still live in Oscoda. It has come to my attention that McTV has turned off commenting for the board meetings. They said that a board member requested that. I never heard that discussed in any board meeting. Did anybody ask for that? Did it ever come up in a board meeting and I was like sleeping or something?
No.
Nope. Okay. I'm going to ask the board if you would put that as an agenda item for next time, that we ask McTV to turn the commenting back on the board meetings. you can actually get some pretty valuable information. I know there's a bunch of, yappity-yap, I understand that. But you can get a lot of valuable information about how your people feel about what's going on in the township through those chat sessions. You don't have to look at them while you're in a board meeting. That's not something that needs to happen, but at least you have access to it later if you care to see it. And I just think it's an important feedback channel. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Hi, my name's Catherine Albert. I'm an Oscoda resident, and I'm a certified peer support specialist through MDHHS. I am proposing to bring 2 drop-in centers to Oscoda, one a teen center and one an adult drop-in center. They're with mental health, Jim Ho, which is Justice and Mental Health organization, MDHHS. Everything would be funded through grants and community partnership. They're peer run, which I would be running them as director, to help people with mental illness, with isolation, stigma. We can have resources for them. We can, provide friendships, just get them out into the community. I am proposing, like I said, the teen and the adults drop-in centers here in town. I would do the grant writing so I can get the funding for it and everything like that. And we've already had a ton of, people in the community wanting it. We've got a couple of community partnerships that are wanting more information about it and stuff like that. I think it would just be good for, for veterans, for teens, someplace safe they can go where they're not getting judged. They're not, they are, connecting with somebody who has been in their shoes and struggled, but has persevered and has been in recovery from mental health for 25 years. So that's what I'm proposing for Oscoda. Okay.
Thank you. Could I get your name again?
Yeah, it's Catherine Albert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Kathy Woosterbarth. Sorry, jumped the gun on you. I'm here with my Rotary hat on tonight. So I am bringing an initiative that the Rotary Clubs of Oscoda and Tawas are working on. We are pleased to announce that we'll be working to save lives and reduce suicidal behaviors by hosting an innovative, practical, and proven suicide prevention training by Osable Valley Community Mental Health. Community members of all backgrounds are invited to these trainings, which are called Question, Persuade, and Refer. QPR is the 3 simple steps anyone can learn to help save a life from suicide. Just as people trained in CPR and the Heimlich maneuver help save thousands of lives each year, people trained in QPR learn how to recognize the warning signs of a suicide crisis and how to question, persuade, and refer someone to help. Each year, thousands of Americans like you are saying yes to saving lives for a friend, colleague, sibling, or a neighbor. QPR can be learned in the Gatekeeper course in as little as 2 hours. So we're reaching out to everyone to consider engaging in this important life-saving initiative. Unfortunately, according to the state of Michigan, our area has the 2nd highest rate of suicide in the state. Our Rotary Clubs want to change that distinction. And how can you help? Become a named supporter of the initiative, highlighted in media and presentation materials, create or host a QPR training opportunity in your business, church, service club, school, etc. Attend a local QPR training in 2024. There have been some already located in the community that Community Mental Health is providing. And then encourage your family, friends, and neighbors to attend a course. So you can contact Rotary at oscodarotary@gmail.com. And we're actually having some upcoming trainings. One of them is at the VFW. The auxiliary is hosting a training. We're thrilled that this is occurring. So that's going to be on March 18th, which is next Monday at 5 o'clock. And again, it's 2 hours, so it's 5 to 7, and that's going to be at the VFW. And then this coming Saturday, there will be a training by the same trainer at the United Methodist Church at 10 a.m. So that goes from 10 to 12. So again, this is a proven method to help save lives in our community, and we want to just keep that that suicide risk. We want to reduce that in our community. So everybody, really consider this important training. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes. Ms. Savage.
Good evening, Board. So we've had the QPR training at the library, and it's a fantastic thing. I've been to it twice. It's a wonderful thing for the community. So tonight I've got my hat on with the Art and Placemaking Committee. Robin Savage is my name, and with me tonight, I've got my backup here. So Vicki Hopcroft and Heather Tate, some of the founding members, and then our newest member, David Claylad. And we are going to chat with you guys tonight and everybody in the audience tonight about our upcoming projects this year for art and placemaking. So the first one is a pretty exciting art contest that actually Mr. Sutton and I were discussing in his office some time ago. So I took it to the committee, and we were throwing around the idea of having an art contest where the winners will have their artwork selected to decorate Town Hall. And so this would be a revolving art show where we would have a featured artist or artists have their artwork on display for a period of 3 years, at which point then we would rotate out for some new artists to come in and have their art showcased. So that's the first project that we're looking at for 2024. And then another project that we've been sort of throwing around for the last year and a half is a community based art project where we have members of the community, in the way of individuals, businesses, nonprofits, contribute by creating a small piece of artwork that will then be incorporated into a larger piece of artwork. If you can imagine like a mosaic, something along those lines. And I think there was something in Charlevoix that sort of maybe prompted this idea where the community was involved. Bob, you're shaking your head, yes. To smaller projects that the community gave to their art council, who then put them together to create a larger installment, if you will. And so we would like to have that housed somewhere highly visible, perhaps the beach. Again, some things that we're still kind of kicking around. And then the third thing that we have in store is murals. We are not backing away from our idea of bringing large-scale, highly visible, colorful, wonderful artworks on, like I said, large scale on buildings in the area. So we just wanted to let you know sort of what we've got going on this year, and let you know that we have been busy. We've been meeting a lot. It looks like maybe starting this month we're going to go back to meeting weekly. So any questions, comments? I've got everybody here to field any sort of questions or comments you might have.
Great job. Keep it up.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Sutton.
had a question. The one first project is for art to be in the Township Hall.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, there's limited space in there, so I'm just wondering what you have in mind.
We do know that, Mr. Palmer. I've spent a large amount of time in Town Hall recently.
In fact, we have some nice murals that someone has painted on the walls.
That's what I hear, yeah. So we'll ask for pieces. We're not gonna, we do have some parameters already set, but we're not asking for anything mural size. That doesn't mean that if we get something large scale presented, we're not gonna discount it automatically. But generally speaking, when we open up a show like this for artists, they typically speaking give us something on a smaller scale. So, we do have some parameters set. We've already discussed that, some of which will be, it has to be exhibit ready. When we spoke at the EIC meeting earlier, or I guess it was last week, we explained how sometimes people will drop off artwork and figure out how to hang it. No, it has to be exhibit ready. So, like I said, we have some parameters and oh, golly, I'm sorry.
We can waive the time frame here for a minute.
Okay.
I did have a couple of other questions. In terms of the art in other locations, you mentioned the beach possibly. Have you considered something like, what is that called? The art project in Grand Rapids where they have pieces all around town.
Art Prize.
Art Prize. That's become a very, very successful program over in Grand Rapids. And they have some tremendous pieces of art over there.
I'm going to be quiet now and let Vicki talk.
We think that's a wonderful idea, and spreading it all around, it kind of goes along with our enthusiasm for the murals. Big and splashy, vivacious, engaging. That's what we're looking for. But we don't intend to burden you with cost. But we'll make it reasonable, or we'll get grant funding. We're going to make it work because we really, really believe in the murals and the splashiness. And I love the Art Prize. It's another way of doing that. Yeah. Thank you.
I think the idea too is to create different points throughout town where we drive traffic through. So whether, we have pieces on display at Township Hall, we have some around town, the beach, the whole idea would be to create like a walk, an art walk,
Yep.
So the first year that we did our art walk, that was kind of like the precursor to what is coming in stages, it seems like.
Well, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, I
for your support.
certainly appreciate all your work on this. I think art in a community is fantastic. I can tell you at least Grand Rapids with that Art Prize project brings thousands of people into Grand Rapids. And they spend a lot of money over in Grand Rapids.
That's right.
I know this because I have a son that does sculpture, and he had an exhibit there in Grand Rapids a couple of years. So
fabulous.
So good luck with your projects, and maybe in the future we can work out something on a smaller scale for Art Prize for Oscoda, where we would have art all around the community. I know we want to have the art walk thing, which we've already started, where we have permanent things in place. But maybe at some point, pick out a week, maybe around 4th of July, I don't know, Paul Bunyan Day, something where we have people here anyway, and then have art around the community to draw more people in. So
Yeah.
thank you for everything you guys do.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's a wonderful idea. It'll be lively too, because people will be tending to their installation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, board comment. Mr. Cummings.
Sure. Then I do have a question. I didn't realize when you were asking for questions, comments after the resolutions, that it wasn't about the resolutions, that we were going to put questions, comments on the agenda, maybe possibly. And I did have a question about an item that was on the agenda that we didn't discuss. It's the Robert Rules of Order that was added in. And I wanted to know what was the purpose of adding it in.
I don't know. It was presented. Sure, go ahead.
I included this. This is a little guide that I've used for other meetings over time that I had, and it was just a nice little snippet. So I included this and informational in our packet, as well as the Planning Commission, EIC, and the others, just because through our board protocol manual, we adopted this as the way to do it. We've had a lot of new members, and this one's just, instead of having the whole book, this is a quick reference to a lot of the things we do. And I do have printed copies in the office for any of you who'd like them just to keep with your meeting materials. It's just a great reference to go through. We had Bill out, Jamie had to run a meeting, and maybe once a year, and Bill takes off for a little bit. So it's just nice to have something in there. If something happened and these two were out,
right?
then another one of us would have to run the board. So just a great little 4 pages front and back, gives you how the meeting runs, from your kind of assemblies, conventions, if you're gonna do a public hearing. It just gives you the little synopsis of each one so you know what we're doing and how to do it properly.
Right.
So I just thought it was a great tool to get out to all the different committees and boards. So I wanted to include it in the packet so you guys would have a digital copy of it, and then I do have paper in the office or just a standalone.
You mentioned it was 4 pages. Yeah, there's 6 here. Did you, in the office, is it just more copies of like what you have there?
Yeah, just like that.
Okay, well, I hate to say this, but you do realize that the original is actually 6 pages as it's in the board pack.
I might, this one's cut off.
It's okay. It's 6 pages as it is in the board pack. And do we have an agreement with the publisher? Because we're probably screwing them out of the $6.95 every time you copy those off. It's right there on the bottom on page 95. You're just total copyright infringement. It's right there. It's not free public domain product. It's some company that's publishing this, and I happen to have spotted this product on Amazon. So the publisher sells this product over there.
It's interesting, because I doubt that Shakespeare Squared actually owns the rights to Robert Poole Porter.
No, they own the packaging. It's a trifold, laminated trifold.
Yeah.
You see those in library bookstores kind of thing. They're quite nice, and they have a whole series of them. And not just this, just all kinds of products. You have some for math and science and that. Anyway, that was my question. Thank you.
Mr. Spencer, full comment?
I guess the only thing that I would like to address is the comments on the MIC TV channel. I understand some people are upset that those got turned off, but in my humble opinion, I doubt that they were really providing that much to the conversation, since we couldn't see it during the board meetings. And we do provide a microphone right over there where any of those people that would like to have their say are welcome to come down and do exactly that. So we don't need those comments on there, and that was not the purpose of putting those meetings on the video. We're not required or recommended to have those meetings on video, and so having them up there as it is going above and beyond. And since those comments were overwhelmingly negative, if they want to say it, they can do it here. Thank you.
I have one question on that.
Sure.
Since we're at the meeting and we never see the comments there when the meeting is being broadcast on MIC TV, so personally, I have no idea what is on there. My question is, when we go back and look at the recording of the meeting, are the comments on there?
Yep.
They are available.
And they're being listed on MIC TV's YouTube channel. And MIC TV, I believe that their board voted to turn it off. And I believe that it was requested by some of the board members here, and I will have to say that I was one of them. So I don't believe we need it. I don't believe it's actually helping anything. And if it's not going to be constructive and it's not required by law, then turn it off.
I have to interject here and say that, with all due respect, you're 1/7 of the board.
I agree. But I did not make the decision.
Fine enough, but I'm just saying, just in the way you've posted the comment just now, we have always operated as a board on the social media topic and how we were going to handle everything from Facebook pages to trying to then get behind and formalize and bring what MIC-TV has become with the YouTube channel and even when we had the streaming government channels on Charter, which we decided then to close down later. But we've always made that as a decision of the board, and I think that we should continue to try to bring that back to the board as conversation that we discuss publicly.
And I appreciate that, but it wasn't our decision to make. It was MIC TV's, it's their channel, and we don't have anything in the contract that dictates that we can control that channel. And it was MIC TV's decision, and they made it. So, and I wasn't part of that vote. I don't attend those meetings anymore. So I appreciate where you're coming from, and I don't disagree. And if we would like to continue arguing that point, then we can bring it to this board, and we can take it to MIC TV. But I'm telling you now that I don't see that it's going to be beneficial in any way, shape, or form. I mean, have you gone back and read any of the comments on those videos?
Seldom.
Me too, seldom. But the ones that I have read were, they did not add to the conversation in any way. They made it worse, and now it's part of a public record that it's not required by law. And so now all these people that are coming back and watching our meetings at a later date are pummeled with all of these snide comments that aren't helping. They're not helping. There's no ideas in there. It's just, oh, I hate that, blah, blah, blah. We don't need keyboard warriors. If you want to say it, come on down. I'd be happy to listen to you. And that's just me talking, and if the board wants to vote and override that, I will absolutely respect the board's decision. But me personally, I don't think it helped, and I'm glad that it's off. So that's where I'm standing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sutton? You have a comment?
I would just like to say thank you to all my election workers and everybody who came out and voted. Oscoda had a huge turnout in Iosco County. I'd still like to see all 6,830 people show up on election day or AV early voting. We have options. I don't care who you vote for, get out and vote. I would like to let everyone know we do have the school bond renewal coming up in May. So make sure if you're not registered yet, get registered, come on out, voice your opinion on that. We will also be from the clerk's office out at the high school twice this month to register our student voters and to go through the importance of voting. So we're working with Scott Moore and Mrs. Brooks and Mr. Alda on getting everybody together for that. So if you do have students at home, we will be there, myself and Shelley, my deputy, along with the school officials to get everybody registered, explain to you the importance of it, and make sure we get our kids involved. And if there are any youth that want to come work the elections, if you are 16 or older, you can come work the elections. It's great. It's a great way to get out of school. I talked to Scott Moore and the principals, and they will let you come hang out with us for the day, and you won't be penalized at school. But just a great way to get you guys involved in the process, understanding it. And we see a lot of young kids. We saw a lot of teenagers for the last 2 elections that I've had. So, I say teenagers, but 18 new to vote. We registered 16 new voters on the presidential primary, so that was awesome. It's great to see our kids come in for the first time and get to vote, and they love it. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows we will be out doing that. And we will also be at the Family Fun Fair to catch any kids we may have missed and any parents that aren't in there yet. So you will have 3 chances between now and the next election to get with us at the school, which the school will be doing the students during the week when they're there. The Family Fun Fair is coming up in April, and that is on a Saturday. So we will be out there for all the parents and everybody who can come out that day. So another day you can actually get registered to vote outside of the standard Monday through Friday office hours. And if you're not registered to vote, call, stop in, register, we will make it happen. Thank you.
Mr. Sutton, a question, if I may? Josh? Question, just off the top of your head, you said it was a great turnout. How did it compare to last presidential year?
This primary was different. We had early voting, but we capture about 1/3 or more of our voters in Oscoda come out.
Okay.
So I will say it makes me proud, because out of all of our townships and municipalities, we come out and vote. Whether it's AV, election day, early voting, if you don't vote, you can't complain. That's why I said, I don't care how you vote, but come on out and exercise that right and get in there and check the box.
Thank you.
Ms. McGuire?
Nothing.
Mr. Taser?
Nope.
Mr. Wisterbarger?
I'd just like to chime in with Jeremy. I mean, if this board wants to debate that and put it on the agenda, let's debate it. But I've read some of those comments over the last couple of years, and some of them are quite appalling. And we do go above and beyond in televising this meeting. And if you have something to say, then as long as it's, constructive, positive, civil, come right there. That microphone's open. But I, for one, too, I'm not interested in turning comments back on. But if this board needs to debate it, then let's debate it.
Thank you. I don't have a lot of comments. One comment I would like to make is to acknowledge Mr. Sutton and his deputy and in the work they did on this previous election. When Mr. Sutton ran for this position, there was only one day of elections, and shortly after he was in office, they changed it to 9 days of elections, in which either he or his deputy have to attend, either here or they have to be in the office. So for one of them, Mr. Sutton was not able to make our special board meeting that we held because he was in Tawas overseeing the election down there on that particular day. So I just want to note the good job that he's done with these elections and the amount of change that's come in the elections in just a short period of time. It's a lot more work. It's a lot more money. I don't think people, when they voted for this proposition for the elections, understood the additional cost that's involved. It's just off the top of your head, Josh, what would you say is the total?
When we started out before the county arrangement as a whole, we were looking at just under $600,000. So each municipality would have been about 154, depending on your vote, but running the 9 days of voting. And what we did was we formed the first agreement in Oscoda County for early voting for counties, so that was used as a template throughout the state. And what we did is that's why we held early voting at one location, which was Tawas Township in the middle of the county. And that way each one of us worked 1 day, had that cost, so it added 1 extra day of cost to the election. And then we only had to buy the equipment for early voting once for that one location. Otherwise, we have 14 municipalities, 9 days of election workers, as well as you would have had to buy 1 to 2 new tabulators, your laptops and everything were specific for early voting. So we saved over $500,000 working together through the county with all the clerks. It was a lot of work, but it was phenomenal. It took us about 2 weeks to get everything together between all of us. We went to a meeting that was supposed to be 2 hours, and they were kicking us out at about 5 hours because we were already going over this stuff. But just so you know, it was huge effort, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of clerks out there. Not one of our clerks in our 14 municipalities didn't participate in getting this done. So it was a lot of heavy lifting, and just phenomenal to see that we were able to do that, because there are smaller communities than Oscoda that couldn't shoulder that kind of price tag. And I didn't want to bring it to the board and say, hey, can I have $400 and some thousand for 4 elections? It was just unreal compared to our previous budget of about 50, 60,000 in a 2 to 3 election year cycle. So,
well, I just wanted to acknowledge the work that you and your deputy have done.
Thank you.
I'll say maybe the deputy does more work, but you guys do a great job on all of that. In terms of the board comment or the comments that are happening while this meeting is going on the MIC TV station, I guess I'm not opposed to having them on there. I just don't see what the point is if they're comments that we can't see. We don't know what they are. My understanding is they're mostly negative comments about the board and the members. So even to go back and for us to review the meeting and look at the comments, I don't know how many of the other board members would have time to even do that or would be interested in doing that. So I as well, I don't know how it came about that they took those off. I really don't know. But honestly, I don't see the point. If it's, these board meetings are meant for the township board to conduct township business. That's what we're here for. We allow public comments so people can make statements about whatever they want to comment about to the board. But our function as a board is to conduct township business at these meetings. That's what we're here for. And all of us took an oath when we were elected. We have an obligation, at least my feeling is I have an obligation to the voters that elected me based on what I said I wanted to do if I were elected to this position. If the voters are not happy with, and I said quite specifically things I wanted to do, I wanted to see the township move forward. I didn't feel like it had, since 1993, when the base closed, that the town was just treading water for 20-some years. And so that was my pledge to the voters, and I feel we have an obligation to the voters that elect us. And if we're not fulfilling that duty, then I guess we get voted out of office. It's that simple. That's the way the process works. So, so again, on the comments on the YouTube channel, I've never seen them because I'm here during the meetings. And I don't usually go back and rewatch the meetings unless there's a specific part of it that I want to review for some reason. So anyway, that's my comment, and with that, I will take a motion.
Mr. Palmer, I have just one comment.
Okay.
I want to thank Ms. Klein, Tara, and Rick Freeman. Over the last couple of months, we had a utility subcommittee meeting today that we'll report on at the next meeting, but there is a lot of infrastructure things going on in the township, and I was very pleased the way the meeting went and all the updates getting from you and Mr. Freeman today. So thank you and your staff very much.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.